Welcome back. This is our final segment, and I really hate for it to end because there's just so many other things that we really want to talk about. You know, Max is here, and he's got so many great ideas, and I think this community is really going to benefit by having his expertise come here. So, Max, again, I'm so glad to have you with us this evening. And what are some of the other things that you're going to be accomplishing or attempting to accomplish in Pahrump?
Well, when we first had conversations with some of the players, the county manager, the commissioners, folks from the coalition, Albert from transportation, you know, first and foremost, the thing that we wanted people to understand right off the bat is we're not here to take over anything. We're here to be an asset.
Okay.
You know, like a vehicle. We have resources and we don't mind sharing.
Just to augment what we have.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And also to be a fresh set of eyes. You know, this is what we do, and we do it pretty well. You know, we take things that a person says, oh, you know, this is my idea, and we're really good. And, you know, some people like it, some people hate it, because when a person thinks that their idea is great, and you have to be the one to say, sir.
Not quite there yet.
It's not, yeah, so that's what we do.
Okay.
And so a couple of things that struck our fancy was like the transportation.
Okay.
When we first talked, your development as of today is that your bus, your public transportation, that's a go.
Yes.
Right? So when we came, it was still iffy.
It's been iffy for a lot of years.
Yes, like I said, I've been coming out here for at least 30 years.
Oh, gee, okay.
Yeah, off and on for 30 years because one of my good friends moved out here a long time ago. So, but the reality is even if our ideas were, in our opinion, stellar, it still has to be a backup to whatever the town of Pahrump is looking to do. So if we can marry the ideas, cool. And sometimes things just aren't. The timing is off. So I give you an example of one of the things that we foresaw. And we're not putting this on the back burner. We started our own transportation company just for the town of Pahrump. Okay. In case it needed another way to get veterans to Las Vegas because hospitals not being adequately you know, capable of taking care of those needs. But it's how the transportation, how they get from here to there. Tesla is a very, very, very big thing at the moment. Okay. I try to look at things that are innovative, right? So when you start talking about transportation, you talk about transportation costs, you talk about maintenance, you talk about all these things. So right off the bat, I'm a Tesla owner, and when sitting in a meeting with Pam, and then sitting in another meeting with Albert, it kind of dawned on me that how do you start something, and not just for the sake of transportation, but something that could help carry a town like Pahrump into the future. You know, and I know people having this conversation with multiple people, they were like, why Pahrump, why Pahrump, why Pahrump? I'm like, well, it's not necessarily why Pahrump, it's like, why not Pahrump?
And that's the right attitude to have. Why not?
Yeah, because when you start really thinking about costs, so when I purchased mine, I was spending as much money, and I know I sound like a spokesperson for Tesla. They don't pay me, I promise you. But I do believe in the concept, right? So when I decided to get mine, I looked at what I was paying just a month in gas, not even the maintenance, and it made sense. So I made the switch. So as we're sitting here and we're talking about just even basic transportation from here to there, from you know, from a person who calls up saying that you know, I need ride transportation. It's a little different now because you guys are going to have public transportation. Yeah. But that curbside to a person who may need some type of assistance, we're still going to pursue that. Okay. That's not going to change until we're told that the service is not warranted or needed. I know that sounds funny, but we're not here, like I said, we're not here to force anything down anybody's throats. We're here to be an asset.
Okay.
So that's like the kind of things that we think about transportation, innovativeness. And Tesla is a buzzword. They pre-sold like 575,000 of their Model 3s.
Yep.
So bringing that, getting a Tesla charging station here, you're talking about things that will impact your city and you don't even know it. Having just these little things that you pull your car to, a person who drives a Tesla can't go that way because there's nowhere to charge. So just things like that is, innovative.
How many do they have in Las Vegas?
Tesla superchargers, there's 2, but I would say there's at least 50 Tesla chargers in the city of Las Vegas.
How many in Pahrump?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what we're working on. We're working on that.
And I like that because we want to grow. We don't want to become a Las Vegas, but we do want to grow and still have the rural atmosphere.
When I picked up my Tesla from Texas and I drove here, there are towns smaller than Pahrump that had charging stations. Okay. So it's not necessarily just about the town, it's routes. It's like, how do you get from here to there? How many people go from here to there? And that's typically how they plan those out. So we're working on that as we speak because, like I said, that's something that I'd like to see. Do I think that there's a lot of money in it? No, not at all. No, not at all. But the reality is it's really good for the town.
And that's what we want. And that's the reason we wanted you on this show. Now, everybody knows I always ask questions about veterans. How can you impact veterans, their lifestyle, make things better? What can you do there?
Well, once again, first thing is to sit down with a gentleman such as yourself that is one, and just kind of, like I said before, our target was not specifically veterans until we had conversations. I've been to Salt Lake City. I met with a company that actually has the contract that transports the veterans from Pahrump to Las Vegas and back, because they did like the ideas that we were talking about.
Okay.
But those are the types of things. The coalition, the Nye County Coalition, and other organizations have, they feed them, they have food, they have, I'm sure, pantries, they have other types of donations. We're not here to do that because that is already being done.
Right.
We're looking at doing things that are needed that will enhance that. So those conversations I'm more than willing to have. Okay.
I like the way you say bridge the gap between veterans and the services they need. Transportation, case management, housing. Where can we go with the housing thing? Because I know there are a lot of people talk about that. And companionship and community involvement.
Well, once again, with Pahrump not having things like malls, movie theaters, it's really difficult for young people to have any type of real interactions with somebody of either the armed forces directly or even the elderly, right? Because there's not an environment. So what we would like to do is we like to help create those environments. We do, part of my background is I've done events, small, big, different sizes, and for those specific reasons, because we want the youth to get that knowledge and understanding and love, and vice versa. It's a symbiotic thing, right? So then the people who are at home alone, they get companionship, and none of that, and none of that is hard to come by. We do it quite often in Las Vegas. It's just it's a mindset, right? Just like you talked about transportation when we were on break. Transportation, like the people of Pahrump, they're behind it.
Yes.
And that's what you need. You need to get people, you need to put out a call to action and then decide on how you're going to get people involved. So for us, events are a really, really, really good way to get people involved,
Now, had you worked with anyone or talked with anyone here about a theater coming into Pahrump?
I've heard many different things, I really have. If it's, I'm definitely from, I'll use the young lady that was on the air before us, Karen Jackson. Yeah, Karen's line. I'm not from Missouri, but I am from the Show Me State. You know, I think that's a good way to put it. And it's not to pick on anybody in particular. Like, I'm just like that in general.
Well,
you know,
well, I think many people in Pahrump feel that way because we've had the promises and we've seen people even start, but nothing has come of that. So we're looking for it and we hear about it and we're saying, okay, well, if they're going to try it, let's see if it really happens. So
is that something that I'm sure that it's something the population's about 38,000, 40,000?
I'd say 38, 39,000.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's big enough. I mean, some of the places I'm from, before I lived in Las Vegas, I lived here before as a youngster, but I also lived in a place called Visalia, California. We had 2 movie theaters, and we had 65,000 people. You know, so, and don't quote me on those stats. It's been a while, but you know, I think it doesn't have to be gigantic. We have a dollar theater. We spend a lot of time at the dollar theater in Las Vegas. Okay. You know, they get the older movies. People just need things to do.
That's it.
You know, my buddy Jesse, when I used to come and visit him many years ago, that is the same exact thing. I already told you my age, but it's like 25 years later, you know, it's the same thing. So I'm here, Catalina's here, we're here to not necessarily take the bull by its horns, but give you guys the push that you need, you know, because we do have resources, whether it be from the private sector or even friends in the government. You know, one of my godfather is a heavy hitter, and he tells me all the time, use me, use me, use me, use me, use me, and I'm like, I gotta have the projects to use you for.
Max, I am so glad to have you here, and I want everybody to think about this. Now, we're going to be coming back next month, of course, but call Max if you have any questions about anything that we've discussed. Hopefully you've written all this down, and we want to thank you for being here with us this evening. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.